All right, so today we're going to dive deep into something I know a lot of you have been asking about, urban coyotes.
Yeah.
And, this article, Adapting to the Concrete Jungle that you sent,
Hmm.
really digs into, it kind of gets into how they're way more resourceful than we give them credit for.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's, jump right into this.
Sure.
The article talks about this kind of shift from, them being out on the plains and in the desert to actually living and thriving in cities. I mean, how are they doing that?
Well, I think, as cities sprawl and force wildlife to kind of adapt, coyotes are particularly good at it because they're opportunistic. They're not picky eaters, and there are fewer natural predators in the city.
It's almost like the city gives them an advantage.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity there, readily available food.
That's what I was gonna touch on next. You mentioned food, and the article cites this study where they looked at coyote scat and they found that a really high percentage of it was human food waste.
Right.
So it's not just them finding, I don't know, berries in the park or something like that. Like they're actually figuring out our habits.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And they've gotten, pretty clever about it. I mean, I've seen reports of them, getting into unsecured garbage bins and even like snatching food deliveries off of porches and stuff, which
Right.
is, it's kind of funny, but it also, shows how intelligent they are,
Right.
and how well they adapt to urban environments. Plus, they're mostly active at night, and twilight, nocturnal and crepuscular are the terms.
Right.
So they're pretty good at avoiding us while they're, finding all this tasty urban food.
Okay, so let's talk about the impact they're having on the city itself. Are they just a nuisance, or are they playing a role in the ecosystem?
That's a great question because while they can be seen as a nuisance, they actually provide a really valuable service. They help control, the rodent population, especially rats, which is
Huh.
something, given your interest in urban ecosystems, is probably pretty important.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's like built-in pest control.
Right.
I mean, and it's not just rodents. They kind of help to keep other animal populations in check too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, rabbits, for instance,
Ah,
which helps to maintain that balance,
yeah.
in the ecosystem. But, like we touched on earlier, there are definitely concerns, particularly when it comes to, pets.
Yeah, you mentioned pet safety, and the article kind of goes into some detail about that. And it seems like the real risk is when coyotes start to lose their fear of humans, when they become what they call habituated.
Exactly, yeah. When people, either directly or indirectly feed coyotes or leave food sources accessible, they can start to, exhibit bolder behavior, and that obviously increases the chance for conflict.
Okay, so how do we deal with this? The article, talks about things like relocation or even lethal control, but also non-lethal things like what's it called, hazing.
Yeah, hazing.
Yeah. So what is that? Like, what is hazing?
So all of the, relocation, lethal control, hazing, those are all management strategies that have been used. Relocation can be tough because sometimes they just come back, and the effectiveness of lethal control is debatable, to say the least.
Okay.
Hazing, though, focuses more on changing the coyote's behavior, making them think twice about approaching humans.
So how does that work? Like, if we're trying to make sure they're still scared of us, why wouldn't we just leave them alone?
Well, yeah, it might seem kind of counterintuitive, but think of it as like restoring their natural wariness around people, making any encounters that they have with us unpleasant.
Oh, okay.
Like, loud noises or things that, deterrents that make them uncomfortable, or even just, projecting an air of confidence, that those can actually be really effective at discouraging them from getting too close.
Okay, so it's almost like we're teaching them to keep their distance, to, stay away.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. But, what about our behavior? What can we do
Right.
to minimize the chance of having conflict?
Yeah, and that's really key here because the article really stresses the importance of these coexistence programs and just educating the community about, simple things like securing your garbage, not leaving pet food outside, and just being, extra careful when you're walking your pets, especially, at dusk and dawn.
Yeah.
All of those contribute to everyone being able to live peacefully together.
So it's like, it's like we talked about before, it's on us too to understand how they behave and to change our behavior accordingly. So it's like a two-way street.
Yeah,
If
absolutely.
we do that,
Yeah.
living with them might not be so hard.
Exactly. Yeah, it's about finding that balance. And their presence in cities, it's kind of a reminder of something something bigger.
What do you mean?
Well, they're pretty resilient. I mean, to think they can adapt and thrive in a place that's so different from, their natural habitat, it just shows how powerful nature is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, so just to kind of bring this all together, it seems like urban coyotes, they're here to stay. They're part of the urban ecosystem. And if we, put in a little effort and try to understand them, we can all get along.
Definitely. Yep.
But here's something for you all to think about.
Hmm.
If coyotes can adapt to city life, I mean, what other surprises might be out there? I mean, as our urban areas keep growing and changing, I mean, what else is going to pop up?
Well, yeah, who knows? But it'll be interesting to see, that's for sure.
Right. All right. Well, that's all the time we have for this deep dive.
Yeah.
Until next time.
See that?